All right, here we go. It's finally time for the grand finals of my good old mod tournament. It's going to be Maximillionaire versus Berserk. And Maximillionaire is playing the Vampire Counts. They signed up to this tournament as a mono faction. And they're going to be trying to beat probably one of the best players in the world. Definitely one of the best players in the world. Perhaps the best player in the world, as they try to counterpick them with as many options as possible. Immediately, we see a very fancy Helman Gorst build, quite fun. He's using the Liber Noctis to give himself some extra winds of magic. Looks like he is not going to be a sniper though, just a Mortis Engineer, which is interesting versus the Chaos Dwarves. I don't know why you'd want that, but maybe he's good versus Kadai. I don't know. This is a matchup I don't really play very often. In the skies though, fun little hit squad here. Double Vampire Shadows. They got good old Melkoth's spam at the ready. They're also able to heal themselves, and it's going to be a Melkoth's right on these Hobgoblins. This is an okay value trade. They don't have a lot of HP, but they're a little cheaper than your standard cavalry. I'd say it's not bad. It looks like 3 Melkoths is all he really needs to rout them. So that's like, what, 15 winds of magic? Is it 15 or is it? Yeah, no, it's a little more. 18 winds of magic to kill off a Hobgoblin. It's okay, you know, there's not really much else to cast spells on. What's a little more worrying is they're actually landing a few hits. These vampires got hit, the Terrorgeist got hit. This can heal for free, this also heals free with regeneration though. So not really a big issue. I think they might even be waiting for it, Maximillionaire, just since they are currently on fire, and that does reduce healing by half. Now for Berserk, as the Chaos Dwarves, it looks like we got the Chalice of Blood and Darkness, which is fixed on my mod, so this should work properly. Only healing when a spellcaster is in range, but with 2 of these ladies in the air, it's a very likely that'll trigger. Burning Head, Cascading Fire Cloak, all good stuff. Chaos Dwarves have taken the initiative. They've gone the triple cap, and all they really need is to win on tickets. You know, your army may be wiped, but if you get 1,500 tickets, you win. And they're putting a very tight timer on the vampire counts. In fact, this map is actually quite disadvantageous for them. Point is getting secured over on the far side. But vampire counts are going to have to be quite aggressive. You can see Maximillionaire. He knows that he has to keep pushing. And he's already making his way to point number 2. A risky endeavor, but one that is kind of forced because of this Chaos Dwarf build. These Chaos Dwarf warriors are retreating too, making sure that they don't get caught by Crypt Horrors. Definitely do not want them to just die. Big charge in over here on this goose, but it did get a mass increase recently. Dang, look at that. Just forcing its way through those Hobgoblins. What's its mass nowadays? 3,500, so quite a bit. Gonna be keeping it safe, and the skirmish continues. Another Melkoth's drops on the Wolf Riders. And I would say this is an okay position for both sides. Interesting, Hell Cannon gets summoned in to deal with some skeleton warriors. Very nice first shot though. But I think this is gonna come down to trading. Hell Cannon's very good at the trading. And Berserk knows that he has all the time in the world to let this Hell Cannon pay for itself. The issue is, you know, these skeleton warriors are not that valuable. It's already used 2 of its shots. It has about 73 gold worth of value. That's not entirely impressive. And it does make Berserk lose the middle point. He could fight for it, but when you just spent so much money on an artillery piece, it's not the greatest thing in the world. I think he doesn't feel like he needs to go super aggressive though. This Kadai Destroyer is very good at getting value back by just diving headfirst into melee, and I expect it to do so. As soon as the vampire counts are worn down enough by all of this stuff, this Kadai can absolutely just kind of march in there. It does not care much for Crypt Horrors smacking it. Damage is just not high enough to bully this guy. And we're seeing, okay, another Kadai. This time Fireborn getting summoned in. Some zombies trying to slow down the Chaos Dwarves, but this is looking a little rough. It's looking a little rough for, I would say, the Counts. They've already taken a lot of chip damage. They do not have a lot of tickets. Going for the third point is near suicidal. And the Chaos Dwarves continue to just get raw value. In fact, they're trying to make a play now for point number 1. Every second that Berserk stalls is huge because it buys a lot of time for these slower, more value-focused pieces to actually get that value. Die Destroyer, the Sorcerer. And it's a lot of posturing, which is kind of the sign of both players knowing what they're doing. Taking it slow. Lord going in, though. Ooh, look at that. Sorcerer Prophet getting a nasty hit on that vampire. This is not the healing one. She's going to need some hex for that. A little bit of damage going back in, though. He takes a little nibble in the back. This Chalice of Blood and Darkness is on cooldown, it seems. Okay. I guess, I wonder if that was intentional. If Maximilianer casts a spell to trigger it. Only to get the damage in after the fact so that it would not heal. Cool play if intentional. I would not be surprised if it was. Point number 3 is now being taken. This is kind of a switcheroo. Ooh, big burning head though. Not for the value, but just for the raw HP damage on all those zombies. Makes capturing points a lot easier. But yeah, essentially Maximilianer has given up point number 1. He's transitioned his forces this way. And he's going to lose a little bit of value for it to maintain the double cap. This is kind of the slow attrition that he's going for here. He wants to lose units as little as possible while maintaining them tickets. But I feel like Berserk just has such a crazy lead. The only thing that can really screw him over, well, you know, if he keeps losing units like this, Dwarf Warrior's a little slow getting caught out. And also this single entity squad. If they kill the Lord, it makes it way more difficult for these Chaos Dwarves to actually push in. If they just crowd onto the point, they can pretty easily get routed off. Breath attacks of the Terrorgeists are pretty rough. And the single entities should be able to beat the Kadai. Hellcannon gets another big hit though. It's already used almost half of its ammunition. And it's gone 300 gold worth of value. So if you include the D-summon, it will pay for itself. But only just. Only just. I think Berserk, since they already have a good value lead though, they're happy to take a one-on-one trade. Because of course, the Vampire Count's army is smaller. It's not exactly an issue. If we do take into account the healing though, it's a little sketchy. It's a little sketchy who actually has a larger army. There's also a lot of skirmishers here. They're not particularly useful outside of having a little bit of capture weight. But it seems like Maximilianer actually is deciding not to take this fight. An interesting decision. Mayhaps Maximilianer is just waiting a little bit to try and force his army a little more in. But if he loses this point, the Chaos Dwarves are going to have all the time in the world to farm value. And in fact, they just win on 2 points. So this kind of has to eventually be taken one way or another. Maximilianer goes for it now, which I think is a little bit of a misplay. I think this only buys time for Berserk. Unless he was waiting for something specific, but I don't think that was the case. And so we begin. Chaos Dwarf Warriors go in. Kadai charging into the front lines. They do lots of damage to these Crypt Horrors. In fact, they do bonus damage. Goose attack, though. Whiffs. Absolutely whiffs from the top ropes. Slamming into the ground and actually doing like no damage. Very unfortunate. Cascading Fire Cloak gets cast on the Kadai. I guess that's all right. I still don't think it's a great spell, but if Berserk is using it, I have less space to judge, that's for sure. Very nice burning head too. These Crypt Horrors are really suffering. They don't have as much infantry support as they usually do because of all the burning heads and the Hell Cannon. But the cavalry, they're definitely pretty scary. Cycle charging into the Orc Laborers. They want to break the Kadai for sure, or it becomes a long fight. Sorcerer Prophet holding out strong. And this point still isn't held. Very, very rough situation. The big Kadai Destroyer too, he's not going down anytime soon. And we're very rapidly seeing the loss of Maximilianer's units. He needs to make a play if he is to survive this. Not even controlling the point either. Very, very brutal. Ticket wise, it's looking rough. You can see why Maximilianer did not want to just take this fight earlier, because it just means you lose your units earlier. Though, if it did result in them holding the points, I don't know how it would have played out. Big swing onto point number 1 is now underway. We see some ghouls moving on in. This is a quad ghoul squad, actually. 20 capture weight going over there. And maybe it's going to be a triple cap. Wait, hold up. The cavalry's starting to cook. They've been cyclocharging these Kadai and they're getting very low now. This one's singled out and they're dying to these, I believe, Blood Knight Lances. Yeah, they're anti-large. Lord is still doing fine, but with no capture weight, I'd definitely be a little worried. We got some Dire Pact over here. Was the wait earlier just to stall? Just to stall for time so Berserk would run out of good summons? Because summoning in this Demon Smith is not very useful. I think he would rather have summoned in many other options. Point is going in the way of Maximilianer. Man, if Maximilianer had the triple cap earlier, this would have been an easy peasy victory. But this may still be a win for them nonetheless. The quad ghoul capture on this point over here is massive. Gets the burning head. Too little, too late. Capture weight is all the way for the vampire counts. Gorst, by the way, healing up this blob with the unholy lodestone. He's got the vigor mortis. Everything's perfect vigor here. Gorst is actually probably crushing it in this area. He also has fire resistance from the balefire. Totally missed that, but that's a very fun tech piece. And even the Kadai Destroyer is kind of bleeding. Now, it is going to get healed by the Demon Smith. But the problem is there's no capture weight. Everything that could hold the point is now dead. Nothing on point 3. Both players not committing to it. I think that is a smart decision, because they're trying to swing these points, but the 5th Crypt Ghoul shows up. Feasters in the Dusk have arrived to stabilize the situation. Now, this point may swing over to the side of Berserk, but I think Maximilianaire's got it. The ghouls are just chilling. They don't care. No need to push on if you can just hold it anyways. In fact, ghouls generally don't like combat. They tend to down trade in a lot of situations, so just keeping them for HP is good. But ooh, very nice burning head. Absolutely massive burning head drops on them. Half their HP gone in a second, and that does give the point to Berserk. Fortunately for them, they lose in about 250 seconds. Not a great situation to be in. Even the Demon Smith is not able to even get on the point right now. And the Goose is still cooking. 1,700 value onto this Kadai Destroyer. It looks like it may even take the thing out. Did this thing get a heal even? What's the range on the heal? It's 100 meters. Has Maximilianer been intentionally keeping the Demon Smith away from the Kadai so he can't heal it? How many uses of his ability does he have? Okay, no, I think he got one of his uses off. Still though, Goose with the mega hits does get the win. And Maximilianer proving their strength against Berserk. Very cool to see. Let's take a look at the valley. Kadai Destroyer got 2,200, so quite a bit. The Goose got 1,900. We're actually seeing both players bring a lot of single entities, which is very fun. Like the caster squad, but I think it was the Blood Knights that really crushed it. The value on the Kadai is a lot lower than usual. And that's because these guys were just cycle charging and bringing them down. So, well played. We move on to the next match. And this is going to be Vampire Counts versus Khorne. Very interesting. Khorne is one of Berserk's main factions. So, I assume Maximilianer was banning some more threatening stuff like Nurgle. Probably, but I wonder what the other faction would be. Khorne is generally pretty bad, but I also assume it's one of Maximilianaire's most played against factions as a vampire counts main. Khorne is super popular way back in general just because infantry was so strong. And I assume he has some sick tech. Blood Dragon Lord in the distance. The Mega Fighter. Helm of Discord, Sword of Anti-Heroes. He's just really good at fighting with his debuffs and buffs. Double Banshee's kind of crazy. They're ethereal, but they still have 4,500 HP. So even with magic attacks, it's not like they're especially squishy. They have 45 melee defense, slow units that they hit, and generally, they're quite the menace. Ooh, some axes though. Oof. Alright, right into the back of that Dragon Lord. A little bit of free damage. A little bit of a misplay from Maximilianaire. Pulls him away, but still. A little rough. A little rough. Imagine if he dies barely in the later stage of the game. Just because of that axe thrower volley. I've had that happen to me before. It is quite devastating. Banshees are in. Oh. Giving a high five to the Marauder Horseman, not actually attacking them. And he's just gonna pull back onto the point. Ah, Berserk doing some shenanigans up. So look at that. This is just some good point play. You want to stall the point as much as possible if it is free, right? So these dogs aren't in the fight. He can afford to stall for a little longer. Might as well. Pulls away now. Could have actually stayed a little bit longer, but surely this game doesn't come down to the wire, right? I guess, you know, playing at 200% all the time is actually quite draining. There's going to be some very minor misplays. These are in the range of like 1 or 2 tickets worth of misplay. In most situations, even at this level, that is quite the extreme, quite the extremely minor difference. And maybe just saving up energies a little better than super min-maxing everything, because that's where the big misplay is coming. Dog's getting a nice charge, by the way, on those zombies. Actually, quite a bit of damage, but not a lot back on them. Is that a worthwhile trade? 22 gold value. The zombies got 28. So technically, from a pure value standpoint, these dogs are down trading. I would say on a battlefield tactical standpoint, the dogs are doing good because they're cleaving so much HP off these zombies. And it's not the value, it's the fact that they support these other pieces like the Mortis Engine, Corpse Carts, the Blood Knights. These zombies are a lot more important than their gold may make them out to be. Didn't go over Berserk's army, by the way. Bloodwake Berserkers, very fitting for his name, insanely high stats. Minotaurs of Khorne marching on in with their big old axes. Even the Slaughter Guard. This is a very elite build, so it makes sense why we saw the dogs and the horsemen earlier. Because an elite build alone would definitely struggle at securing points. With the mobility, yeah, they can do a lot. Another nibbling on those zombos. Herald of Khorne with some big DPS boosts. Sword of Tormentor Sword to net down guys like this to keep them safe. Ooh, and a little bit of a misplay from Maximilianaire. The Dire Pact getting caught out by the doggos. Huge pick, actually. That's really bad. This is a 600 gold unit. And for them to already be brought down to half, oof. Another big play here. Maybe that's why they got caught, because some of the Black Knights were getting beat up. Getting charged by some Furies. Trying to catch some mobility. Maximilianaire with small misplays. Definitely looking a little sus, but I don't think they're out yet. We're going to see a solid charge on these Chaos Warhounds. Going to see a Mortis Engine here, melting the faces off of these Chaos Warriors. And some Furies in the sky are looking for picks. They're not committing just yet. Furies can very easily be thrown away for a down trade, but instead he's using them to pin down these Black Knights. Nope. Picks them back up. There's a bit of a weird attack order. Those Black Knights are going down. Minotaurs doing good. Bloodwake Berserkers feasting. I'd say Khorne is doing pretty well just off of the value alone. Marauder Horsemen have arrived. And this is looking, oof, okay. Not bad for the counts for all that damage on the Minotaurs. But he needs to finish them off, right? Vampire Counts need a way to deal with these Bloodwake Berserkers. And that means very likely it's going to need to be, there's a Helm of Discord. Probably a Breath Attack. Or zombies and the slow grind with the Mortis Engine. Mortis Engine has a damage over time effect. It's very strong. Lord's taking a little damage. I don't think this Blood Dragon Lord's actually going to get close to dying this battle, though. He'll only get close because Maximilian wants to trade out his HP for more value. But I don't think these Furies really bring him into any risky territory. Especially with the Horsemen running low on ammunition. And this may go very well for Maximilian. Double Banshee's doing really good. Mortis Engine still alive, though. This Mortis Engine has to go down, but it is surrounded by Spawn. Surrounded by Forsaken. Dragon Lord has landed, though, and he is ready to fight. He wants to do damage to these high mass units to clear space for this Mortis Engine. He's even healed it up. He's doing his best to keep it together. But it's taking a lot of damage. Herald of Khorne's gone on top of it. And the Mortis Engine being a little bit out of position. Looks like it's going to go down. That's actually a huge pick on the side of Berserk. Good monstrous unit control, good SC control, getting the charges. And Maximilian finds himself in an awkward position. Ticket-wise, he's actually extremely behind. Only just now is he capturing his second point. And that means if Berserk gets even a small value lead, that is very bad. Right now, it's looking pretty chunky. Even if you include the healing, just looking at the battlefield itself, it's not too great. He secures this point, and I think there's just not enough time. The trading was just a little too rough for Maximilian. And with the early ticket loss, there's really not much that can be done. Net drops on the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. He's getting beat up pretty bad. Getting charged by some halberds. Whoop. Even the Lord too, dang. He took a lot of damage in that blob. Now this is more, he wasn't forced to take that damage. He's just trying to trade out his HP. And he was attempting to save that Mortis Engine. You can see he's not at any real risk of getting murdered right now. But his overall value, his ability to influence the battlefield is significantly weakened. Good breath attack though on the Slaughter Guard. I just don't think that's going to be enough though. The Bloodwake Berserkers have done a little too well. And really, I think a lot of that game just came down to the Mortis Engine. Mortis Engine and the early ticket lead. Berserk basically took the tickets. Maximilian had to split his forces to try and get the points. And in doing so, he just lost value. Very good play from Berserk. The Khorne main does, or not the Khorne main. I don't know if he mains Khorne. But he definitely enjoys Khorne quite a bit. Likes the mobility style. And kind of just crushes with it. Very nice to see. GG, well played. That's going to bring us to the ace match. Look at that. Banshees didn't do that much, unfortunately. Weirdly enough, the Black Coach was pretty sick. The Mortis Engine was getting a lot of value, but it needs to be a carry in this situation. Okay, and crazily enough, Maximilian did not ban Nurgle. He wants to face Nurgle. I don't even know what factions he banned then. He didn't ban Khorne, he didn't ban Nurgle. Okay. And he's running a double goose strat. Now, in the mod, Rot Knights. Rot Knights are significantly cheaper. And this is not adjusted for the fact that there was indeed... Oh my gosh, what is this? Holy, look at that Rot Knight squad. Berserk making the Mega Rot Knight hit squad, alright. But, yeah, they were buffed. Their size, entity size was changed a little bit. Amongst, I think, a couple other things. So they're going to be more effective than usual. But hey, you know, the mod adjustments to price were to encourage some units that we don't often see. And this is pretty fancy. Double Terra Goose in the air for Maximilianaire are going to be coming in with their anti-large. They did clutch out the win against Chaos Dwarves, and he's hoping that they can kill all the big SCs this time around. Don't know how he feels about Rot Knights, though. Did not bring Buna, though Buna's not the craziest thing against them. And that Von Karstein Lord, he has a Tempest to make sure that Rotfly spam doesn't kill him. Pretty cool to see, pretty cool to see. But how is Berserk going to play this out? Going for the early triple caps again. Very common thing you see with them. Tamarcon going to be coming up. He has some cool abilities, just some high damage, very hard to snipe. You'll love to see it. Mortis Engine immediately drops down because this is a melee Nurgle build. Oh, but a little bit of a charge. Rot Knights getting a huge charge on the Mortis Engine. Zombies ever so slightly out of position. And that's going to be pretty bad. The Flyers also kind of idling. Oh, no. Maximilian are trying to spam click the Mortis Engine away. That's actually a huge amount of damage. Berserk going for the killing blow already, man. Mortis Engine taking so much. Now, it will be able to heal, but over the course of the battle, if it reaches its heal cap way earlier than usual, that is not a pleasant situation to be in. Terrorgeist are going to be trying to disengage. Corpse carts have arrived. And Maximilianaire going to be trying to recover from such an early shock of damage. Another volley too from the Horseman. This Mortis Engine's getting bullied. Cavalry coming on into the zombies. Trying to do their best, but man, that Mortis is looking worse for wear. This is the win condition. If that Mortis dies, life is just rough. Horseman going down too, though. Maximilianaire's not out. It's just they're in a very risky position. This Mortis Engine is just a lot closer to death than it would be usually. But as long as it lives, it's still getting that value back. So it's not the end of the world. He's just kind of on the precipice. Rot Knight's kind of committed into this infantry squad too, looking a little rough. Over on this side, the Goose getting beat up pretty bad. Ooh, looks like he's a crumbling. Okay. Mortis Engine getting a little bit deeps on these Rot Knights. Ooh, are we gonna lose a Goose? Man, these Rot Knights are really clutching it out. They have the -8 leadership take cover. Vampire Cons don't have artillery, but I believe breath attacks cause that. And it's just going to be a lot of cycle charging. Foul bats, unfortunately, for Maximilianaire do land and get beat up. Goose is still crumbling, by the way. Still -10 leadership. Ooh, is he dying? Oh, he's real sketchy, this Goose. He gets the heal, okay. Oh my goodness. But yeah, even with the Mortis and no other debuffs, it's just literally the damage he's taken is just so high. And he's still taking damage from the crumbling, which is making it worse. But the healing finally stabilizes the poor thing. Very sketchy situation, but he gets patched up. The Goose took a lot of damage. The Mortis took a lot of damage. And it's still a double cap for Berserk. Berserk has all the time in the world to farm value. Maximilianaire has to make a play. Either killing the Rot Knights, killing Tamarcon. He has to get some sort of large amount of value to actually push onto this middle point. Gonna be coming in with the Blood Knights, okay. Blood Knights v Rot Knights, so I don't know how that plays out. These guys have armor piercing, these guys don't. And it looks like the Blood Knights are actually eating the charge, oh my goodness. I think that might be it. Yeah, if these Blood Knights also take a massive amount of damage, I don't think there's anything that can be done. Curse of the Slug drops on them. The Rot Knight sandwich is complete. And it looks like Berserk is taking the victory. I don't think there's anything here that can really fight back. This is an atrocious matchup for the Vampire Counts, by the way. I think Berserk, or I think Maximilianaire was kind of hoping for like a Great Unclean One build, but Berserk's a much more mobile player. And absolutely, he's going to be making plays, even against Maximilianaire. By just using that mobility to take points, finding areas where he can get value, and just, dang, look at that shock damage. Just poor Blood Knights. Did not stand a chance. Even if they do get saved here, it's going to be way too long for them to heal up. The Terrorgeists are in the fight. But Berserk's just leaving his Rot Knights in the fight right now. He reckons he can just fight this. And honestly, I might agree. Marauder Horsemen throwing axes are here to support, but a second Blood Knight has come in. Riders of Rohan. No, they're Black Knights. Emergency Black Knights. Maximilian just summoning whatever cavalry he can to this fight. He knows if he gets, if he gets lucky with the RNG, or if Maximilian just ended up taking a much worse fight than he thought, maybe he can pull back in value. Spotting Riders have taken a significant amount of damage. Gonna be charging into the doggos. Here's the thing though, this point's actually getting captured by some Nurglings. Even if, okay, yeah. Even if he starts pulling back value, the triple cap just straight up loses him the game. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. And we get called at the very end of the cast. It's fine though. That's gonna be Maximilian winning. They played a best of 3 earlier in this tournament. But dang, brutal second and third games. Obviously Berserk was picking some of the best matchups ever. That is the disadvantage you face when you are going mono faction. You also are at the whims of the map pool, so it's going to be more difficult. But of course you get to play just the one faction, so you get a pretty nice advantage just not needing to practice all the various other matchups in the game. So nice to see Berserk showing that vampire counts do indeed bleed. Some very decisive plays against the best vampire counts player in the world. But you can't beat the best of the best. Congratulations to Berserk. They're going to be winning the first place prize of 200 Canadian. Maximilian is going to be winning 100. Very nice matches from both of them. I hope you guys enjoyed. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.